Please note the content of this podcast and this particular series is provided for informational purposes only and does not constitute as medical advice. Please consult a licensed healthcare professional for guidance. Hello, wild and wise ones. Welcome back to Witchy Ways for Modern Days. Again, this is Brittany from Winslow Naturals, and today is the final episode into shadow work. This has been a long series, the first series of the podcast, and I'm quite pleased at how it went, and I'm quite pleased with the response that you've given me. So I appreciate that very much. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Today, for episode 8, I want to invite you to step into a sacred circle with me. This circle includes not only your soul, but the souls of thousands that came before you. So today's episode on shadow work is layered, it's mystical, it's powerful, and this is going to be soul evolving. So today we are going to be talking about breaking chains and healing ancestral shadow and inherited shadow trauma. So we're going to talk about what ancestral shadows are, how trauma travels through bloodlines, the signs that you're carrying something that actually isn't yours. We're going to talk about the sacred role of the cycle breaker, which is your role. If you are listening to this and you are following along, you are the designated cycle breaker here. We're going to talk about some tools for ancestral healing and lineage clearing, and the beauty of reclaiming gifts that were buried beneath generational pain that was inherited. This episode is going to be a long one, but it is going to be a necessary one. So please get cozy with me. Light your own candle, maybe brew some tea. I have my lovely warm tea with me, and we're going to prepare to enter the unseen and heavy realm of ancestral lineage trauma. So let's start. So what are ancestral shadows? In spiritual work, we talk a lot about our personal shadow. Like, we've been talking a lot about our personal shadows for weeks. So those are the unconscious parts of ourselves created through our lived experiences. But there is another layer to that shadow, one that is not fully yours, but does still live inside you. Ancestral shadows. They are the unhealed traumas, beliefs, and patterns that have been passed through and down the family line. They are embedded in epigenetics, which is basically something that is kind of coded into the family DNA. They're embedded in cultural conditioning, and that goes down the family line as well. They are in generational memory, and that it's in family stories, both spoken, well-known throughout the family, or unspoken family stories. So maybe your great-grandmother lost some of her children, but she was never really allowed to grieve them. Perhaps you had a grandfather who was a soldier, who saw unspeakable things, but because of cultural conditioning at the time, was told to suck it up, be a man. You are not allowed to cry or grieve or do anything that could be even somewhat considered emotional. Maybe generations of women in your line were silenced or beaten or forced into roles that ultimately energetically choked their spirit. Those type of wounds don't just disappear. They mutate, they echo, they bleed down through the line. And unless someone breaks the chain, they will continue to repeat themselves. So how how does shadow trauma actually get passed down? First, we're going to make this clear. I think I've said this many times before in the series. You are not broken. With the shadow ancestral trauma, that's not a broken stage either. Your body and your shadow are simply responding to ancient information. Now, science confirms what mystics have always known. Trauma is inherited. Shadow is partially inherited. Studies on epigenetics do show that stress, famine, abuse, fear, all of these things alter our gene expression. Like they physically alter our bloodline. And these changes get passed on. So if you've never heard the term epigenetics or haven't really done much research into that, I highly suggest that you look into that. It is an absolutely fascinating topic. It will teach you so much about yourself. It will teach you so much, I promise. It was one of those things that was kind of a revelation to me when I learned it. And in healing the shadow and healing trauma, it can definitely be worthwhile just to take a peek and see if that's at all something that can benefit you from knowing. So you may fear abandonment, even if you've never actually been left. You could feel unsafe in your body, despite living a fairly safe life. You could carry guilt that doesn't really make sense to you. You just know that you're guilty, but you don't know why. You could be acting out the same sort of toxic relationship patterns as a parent or grandparents. These are not random traits that pop in and out. They're not. These are echoes. That is a shadow echo. You're not only living your life. We are not only living our lives. We are carrying ancestral memory, and that is being brought into the present. So common signs that we are carrying ancestral shadows. I'm going to expand on this a little bit more. So I wrote down a couple common signs that ancestral wounds might be actively happening in your shadow. Recurring family patterns, aka addiction, abuse, poverty, secrecy, just really twisted sort of ideals and feelings that feel insurmountable. You could feel haunted by family energy even after people pass. This could manifest as like extreme loyalty to a family dysfunction or dysfunctional family, aka protecting abusers, protecting people who should not be protected. It could like appear as feeling like the black sheep, like a scapegoat, or like the emotional sponge of the family. You could feel a deep sense of responsibility to fix everything and everyone. The shadow could be popping up as persistent shame, guilt, or grief that you can't quite trace the origins of. Could be fear of your own gifts. This is one I do want to highlight. So fear of your own gifts, aka psychic, intuitive, or healing abilities. I hear a lot from people about being fearful of their natural abilities, their clairs, right? I hear spirit all the time. So this person has clairaudience. I hear spirit all the time, but I've always just shut it out because I don't want to feel crazy or people to think I'm crazy because I hear things. And you're fearful, right? The fear is actually the shadow. That fear could be built on current cultural conditioning, but mainly that is your shadow going, oh, nope, scared because somebody in the past, in your ancestral line, had those same gifts and they had to be fearful of their gifts because of something happening. And I promise you 100% that is what happened. If you're fearful of them, it's because there was a reason why somebody before you became fearful. And then you could have physical symptoms. So you could have physical symptoms with no medical explanation, especially in the womb area or the heart, the throat, or the stomach. So we're talking throat chakra, heart, solar plexus, and sacral. That is the area where ancestral shadow can kind of lie in the body. So throat down to about like womb, hip region. If any of this resonates with you, any of what I just said resonates, you could be a cycle breaker. Cycle breakers are chosen, but I will warn you now, it is not an easy path. So the role of the cycle breaker, if you feel like the one in your family who feels everything, who sees through the bullshit, speaks truths that other people tend to avoid, who's walking a spiritual or a healing path that nobody in the family seems to understand, or if you've been rejected for breaking the family mold, for going against the grain. Again, you might be the cycle breaker. You were chosen, you were born to end what others endured. This is not a punishment. It is difficult, but it is not a punishment. This is a sacred assignment, and it is an assignment that you agreed to. Your soul agreed to this before you were placed in this life. Here's the thing. So being the first one to heal means feeling things that no one else in your family was allowed to feel. This means crying ancestral tears, so tears that don't necessarily belong to you. It means choosing love when your lineage perhaps only knew survival. And it means rewriting the script that was written by generations before you. It is exhausting work. It is lonely work. But it is also holy work. You are not weak for breaking down when this inevitably is difficult. You are brave for being the one who actively is saying, this will end with me. So let's shift into action now. Let's go into tools for ancestral healing. So here are some spiritual and energetic practices to support ancestral shadow work. We're going to start with probably the easiest and probably the one that I would recommend everybody does. You don't have to do everything on this list that I'm suggesting. I do suggest that number one, kind of everyone follow in some way. An ancestral altar. You need to create a sacred space with photos of ancestors. In parentheses, only if it's safe to include those photos. If this altar is going to be seen by anybody and recognized by anybody and it's a problem for you to have something like that, don't put photos of ancestors on there. It's not going to diminish the altar. I recommend having them, but if you can't, it's not going to make this any less powerful. Make sure that you have at least a candle. I would recommend white or orange candles. Orange is a very good candle color for working with family ties, and then white is clearing and can just be all-encompassing. A bowl of water. Could be tiny, could be large. This is a spirit offering. I want you to get fresh herbs. I'll just tell you like basic herbs. Rosemary is going to be a big one. Bay leaves, going to be a big one. You might want to get a little bit of mugwort. That one's not entirely necessary, but it can be helpful for clearing it out. And then items from your lineage. Any sort of heirloom you may have. Anything. Soil from your homeland. When I say homeland, you could do like the soil from your backyard if your family is from the area. Now, if your family's from another area, I would suggest it from that place. And cultural items. If you have none of the above, cultural items, things that represent a family. They could be like even little drawings, representations of the tree of life. So something with the tree of life engraved on it, like anything that kind of brings up family on this altar. each day I want you to light a candle and I want you to say something along the lines of, I honor you, I carry your strength, I release what no longer serves this bloodline. Now, if your ancestors were abusive or they were unsafe that you're aware of, you can still say, like, you don't have to say, like, I honor you. You could say, I acknowledge you. I transform the pain that you could not. So you are not obligated to honor harm or harmful people, but you can transmute it. We can turn that into something else and something positive. Now, this one's an interesting thing. The remainder of this podcast can be purchased at our Patreon, Witchy Ways for Modern Days.